comments, your likes, and for subscribing to our page. Today is the alphabet P, and it is P for Parvati, the quintessential mother. Parvati, consort of Shiva, quintessential representation of the mother goddess, the amalgamation of all the mother goddesses, the mother of Lakshmi and Saraswati, of Ganesha and Skanda, daughter of the mountains, supreme embodiment of motherhood, the ultimate destroyer as Durga, and the benevolent goddess of food and nourishment as Annapurna. She is every single form of the mother goddess and the Matrukas. She is the Matruka. She is the goddess and the consort of the destroyer, and yet she is his creative energy. She is the recreative energy and power of Shiva and has a paramount position in the Shakta cult. She is that force within Shiva that creates every time he destroys, and she is the sister of Vishnu, Narayana. Known originally by her most common epithets, Uma and Ambika, in the earlier phase, she has a whole slew of names: Girija, Shailaja, as in daughter of the mountains; Haimavanti, daughter of Hemavant, of a lord of the Himalayas; Maheshwari, Durga, Narayani, to just mention a few. And Narayani here is the sister of Narayan and not the female equivalent of Narayan, though some would like to think of it that way. She is similarly the golden Gauri and the dark Kali. So many different attributes are all brought together into one goddess. It is an incredibly complex amalgam. She's first seen on the coins of Huvishka as the goddess Omo, along with Oesho, Shiva. So Omo, of course, is Uma, and she's seen across Shiva standing, not a very flattering representation, but it's the first actual representation. She's just shown as a two-armed goddess. She appears either two-armed or four-armed. She appears individually, though not very common. The individual icons are not incredibly common icons, and in fact, she appears more with Shiva than by herself. This is a rare icon of Gauri on the right-hand side that you see, and we call her Gauri because there is a lizard as the Vahana below her, and of course, Ganesha is always represented with her. You can see the Jata Mukutas, you can see the four-armed version, and here she holds a beautiful mirror in her upper left arm, and in her lower left, she's blessing Skanda, and on the right-hand side, of course, she's holding a modak, or what looks like a modak, perhaps for Ganesha, who's got his own little pile on his side. This is, of course, a Pala period image and a very, very beautiful image. Though, of course, very often the attributes as we come south change in her arms. She's usually shown holding a Ganesha image in her left upper arm and a shivling in her right upper arm, an Akshamala in her lower right arm, and a Kamandalu in her lower left arm. And we have a number of such representations from Maharashtra and the region of central India. Usually she is shown sitting on the left knee of Shiva. If there is her Vahana, her vehicle, the lion or the tiger below, then it is Uma Maheshwara. If it is the lizard or the monitor lizard or the Ghorpat below, it is Hara Gauri. And this is what decides the combination of names. She's also seen in the Kalyana Sundari, the marriage of Shiva and Parvati. She's also shown as playing Chausar with Shiva. She's also part of the famous Ravanugraha Murti when Ravana shakes Kailasha. She's seen in paintings along with her sons. She's shown very commonly in southern India along with Shiva and Soma, or Soma Skanda as he's called, and that is called, sorry, it's Skanda, and those images are called the Soma Skanda images. And there are beautiful bronzes of Shiva and Parvati sitting with Skanda dancing as a little baby between the two of them. She is very, very rarely painted in Bengali literature, and painting as Parvati walking with a tiger next to her and her infant son Ganesha in her arms. The other form in which she is very prominently shown is in her half-man, half-woman form as the synthesis of Shiva and Parvati, which is basically the Narishvara form, which is more than anything else a physical manifestation of the Shivling and the Yoni. If Shiva is the Linga, then Parvati is the Yoni. She is the universal mother, seen all over Southeast Asia, often equated with Tara, though there's a bit of a controversy about which forms of Tara might be Parvati and vice versa. But if you look at the actual images and the bronzes of Parvati, and you also look at the Pala period standing image like this one, they are very, very reminiscent of the Tara sculptures that we have from these periods. So this is the coin of Vishka, dated to roughly between 150 and 180 AD by some, a little earlier by others, but it's the 1st or 2nd century AD. And you see the four-armed Shiva on the right-hand side, and you see the goddess Omo on the left, and next to her is the name Omo written over here in Greek, telling us very clearly who this is. And Shiva's name is written behind him on this side. This, of course, is the ultimate worshipped image of Shiva. We will do a lot of this when we come to the alphabet S, but she is the Yoni if Shiva is the Lingam. So this is a very beautiful image, very much in keeping with the Tara images that we see from southern India and we see from Sri Lanka. And the bronze images look very much like this Parvati image that you see on the left-hand side. Another beautiful Pala image on the right-hand side, very similar to the first one that I showed you, a four-armed version of her. You also have, as I said, independent images, though not very common. On the left, you have a beautiful broken image of the Yadava period or the Shilahara Yadava period from Sanjan. You can see the Ganesha being held up in the Shruk on the left hand. You can see the Kamandalu in the right hand. In the center is a very battered, much repaired, much worshipped, and now abandoned image from Devare in Maharashtra, from a beautiful Devrai. And you can see the Ganesha in her left upper hand, the Shivling in her right upper hand. The left lower hand, as I told you, holds the Kamandalu, and the right held an Akshamala. Sadly, no longer really visible because of the cement that was used in an attempt to repair the sculpture. On the right-hand side, you see a very, very beautiful representation of her in a seated position with her Vahana, the lion below. We also have her as Uma Maheshwara, as I told you, and you can see her seated on Nandi and on the left knee of Shiva, and there is Shiva holding up her chin. It's a very romantic gesture. You must remember that Shiva and Parvati are a union of great love. Kamadeva actually shot Shiva with his arrows to fulfill the desires of Parvati, who decided to marry him and only him, for which poor Kamadeva, the god of love, was actually burnt to a crisp by a very angry Shiva. But Parvati's penances and dedication was such that they moved Shiva and he married her. Now, these are two images of Hara Gauri, where you have Shiva as Hara and Parvati as Gauri. And we know this because of the lizard that is her Vahana, or the monitor lizard that is her Vahana seen below. And this is a very, very well-known, very highly worshipped and respected form that we see in Maharashtra and Karnataka and these regions. And the worship of Gauri is very, very much a part and parcel of the worship of Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. And the fourth day of the Ganpati festival is the day when the goddess Gauri actually comes down. And there is a massive Gauri festival that is held in many houses in Maharashtra. There are Uma Maheshwara images which are devoid of any Vahanas, like the one on the left. On the right, you once again see Nandi and the lion, and a beautiful nimbus around the two of them. We also have this amazing image. This one, if I'm not wrong, is from Ellora. This is the Kalyana Sundara Murti, and this is the marriage of Shiva and Parvati. There is an even more beautiful, though battered one, that is seen at the Elephanta Caves, and all the gods are here. You can see Brahma officiating over here. So this is Brahma down here, and this is the sacred fire, and he is the officiating priest at the wedding of Shiva and Parvati. And this is a very demure Parvati looking down as a bride. And you see all the other gods over here. You see Varuna on Makara, you see Indra on Airavata, and so on and so forth. So the entire pantheon comes down to visit, and there, of course, is Vishnu standing witness. So this is a very, very important moment in the history of Shaivism and the mythology of Shaivism. We also have, I'm sorry about the moving of this image. This is the famous Ravana Gruha image where Ravana shakes Mount Kailasha, and Parvati is scared suddenly at what has happened and leans towards Shiva. So he holds her and then he puts his left hand down towards the mountain and he presses the mountain down with a single finger, his little finger of his right hand, sorry. And he presses down the mountain and Ravana into the nether regions. So this is this is the image over here on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of Shiva and Parvati in domestic bliss playing Chaucer together. And the game is portrayed between the two of them. And here it's actually portrayed as a small board game and not the plus-shaped cloth game that you would see laid down. So this is a beautiful Kalachuri image from the right-hand side over here that we have Kalachuri era image. And this, of course, on the left-hand side is from the Ellora caves. And you can see Nandi, and I think I've shown you this image before of the Ganas playing and fooling around with Nandi. You have beautiful bronzes from the Chola period of Shiva and Parvati. On the left is a bronze of Shiva and Parvati by themselves. And on the right is the one called Soma Skanda, where you actually see the Pala Skanda or the child Skanda dancing in between his parents over here. We also have, as I told you, the actual iconic representation of the Shivling according to me, which is the Narishvara form. The one on the left is perhaps the most beautiful and it's from Elephanta. I'm very biased. You have one in the center over here and you have a beautiful bronze of a much later period on the right-hand side from southern India. So telling you that this is a very, very well-known form. And you have, interestingly, in the central form over here, a humaniform Nandi. So you actually have Nandi with a human body and a bull's head. And this is not something that we see very, very commonly. There are, of course, lots and lots of paintings of the goddess Parvati. You have her painted as the Ardhanarishwara on the right-hand side. But what's very interesting is Shiva dancing for Parvati. There's Parvati seated and Shiva dancing, and this is a beautiful Indian miniature. And you can see the wild abandon with which he dances for the woman he loves. Right from the miniature paintings on the left to Raja Ravi Verma on the center and contemporary modern art on the right, the love of Shiva and Parvati is a very, very big thing in the entire gamut of painting. And we see these images in a large number of places and have become more or less timeless in the last 1500 years. We also see her as the goddess Annapurna, the goddess of food and nourishment on one hand, and the destroyer, the goddess Durga on the other, both images from Bengal, one from a painting and one from the pandal itself. And of course, we see her with her whole family. So these are very, very popular images that are seen on calendars and in frames in Western India and other places. This is the entire family, Skanda, Ganesha, Shiva and Parvati together with Nandi and Skanda's peacock. And if you look very carefully, you will probably see the Mushaka right next to Nandi down below over here. And you'll see the little Mushaka over here. On the right-hand side is one of those famous stories where Ganesha gets the better of his brother Skanda, who dares him to race around the world. And while Skanda is hurtling across the world on his Vahana, the peacock, Ganesha quietly gets up and walks around his parents, Shiva and Parvati, because to him, they are his world and they are his universe. And you can see both of them looking down quite lovingly on their sons. He's known from Southeast Asia also. We have a beautiful Khmer image on the left-hand side. We have images from Indonesia on the right-hand side at the center. And she's seen as Durga. And she's seen as Maheshwari. And of course, she's also seen as Parvati herself. So she is the universal mother, much loved everywhere, and the consort of Shiva. And she is also worshipped as Meenakshi in a temple which is almost exclusively devoted to her worship in southern India. So that told, thank you very much for being with us on P for Parvati. Do follow us, do like our work, do subscribe to our channel, do pass the word around. And if you would like to hear and see more of what we do, please join the INSTUCEN Summer School. We promise you that nobody will give you the kind of gyan that we are giving you for as little as 500 rupees for 3 months. All of the stuff that we did during COVID times last year, almost all of it is available. All our certificate courses and our lectures on our site for just 500 rupees for unlimited access for 3 months. So for students, it is even cheaper and it's down to 200 rupees. So thank you very much for being with us. I look forward to see you tomorrow. Since yesterday was Ram Navami, how can R be far behind? Tomorrow is the alphabet R and we will be doing R for Rama. Looking forward to seeing you all. Take care.
Done, sir.